Hey friends, it's Rosie from iHeartRecipes.com. I'm going to show you how I make my caramel pecan cinnamon rolls. This was requested from many of my Instagram followers, so let's get right into it, okay? We're going to pour some warm water into our mixing bowl, and then we're going to sprinkle in some dry active yeast, or is it active dry yeast? Yeah, you know what I added in there. And I also sprinkled in some sugar. Mix everything until it's well combined. And now we're going to let it sit until it's nice and foamy, just like so. The next step, we'll be adding in some warm evaporated milk. Make sure it's warm. And now we're also going to drizzle in some vegetable oil. I like to use canola. Now I'm going to start adding in a little bit of vanilla extract. And followed by that vanilla, I'm going to add in a lightly beaten egg. And make sure that your eggs are at room, or your egg is at room temperature. We're now going to mix everything until it's well combined. Y'all always mention how many times I say well combined, but that's what I say. And then we're going to remove or turn this off completely, then remove that attachment and replace it with your dough hook. Now we're going to start adding in some cake flour. I'm also going to add in a little bit of salt and sugar. And once the dough is nicely formed, just like so, we're going to turn our mixer off completely, and then we're going to remove the dough. So remove the dough, and then you're going to lightly oil this bowl, or you can oil another bowl. I just don't want to dirty up another bowl. And then we're going to place the dough right back into that bowl, and we're going to cover this bowl and let it rest for an hour and a half. And I always use my little Halloween towel. That's like my designated bowl towel, I guess. Anyway, so after an hour and a half, it has like doubled in size. We're just going to punch it using our fist in the middle. And then we are going to flatten out this dough. Now in this bowl, I have my cinnamon roll mix. It's just sugar. I have brown sugar, white sugar, and I also have cinnamon, nutmeg, and of course butter. So now we're just going to flatten this out, and then we are going to slather that filling all over the surface of our dough. And you can use whatever works for you. I'm going to use like my little spatula thingy here. You can use a spoon, butter knife, whatever you have, that's fine. Just use what you got. And then we're just going to roll this baby up. Now, usually I use butcher string to cut my cinnamon rolls. I can't believe it, but I didn't have any on hand, so I'm going to use this knife. As you see, I have a baked dish that is nicely buttered, and I'm going to place my rolls in there. And then I'm going to let these rolls rest for about 25 minutes until they double in size, just like this. Now we're going to bake the rolls in the oven on 375 for about 15 to 20 minutes. And this is what it looks like once done. I like mine to be nice and gooey and soft. I don't like them, overly baked. Now, I did make a homemade icing. The exact measurements for this icing and my cinnamon roll recipe is on my blog, iHeartRecipes.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, there will be a link down below in the description box. We're going to sprinkle some pecans all over the cinnamon rolls. You can use as much or as little as you want. And then we are going to start adding the icing all over the cinnamon rolls. Now, I made a lot of icing. I'm not going to add it all on top. I like to leave an option for some people to like dip it later on. And now I'm going to add some caramel sauce. You can make homemade caramel sauce if you want to, but I think we spent a lot of time on this recipe already, so I'll be using some store-bought sauce. And you know what? I'm good. I am good to go. But look at that, y'all. Look how soft it is. It's perfectly baked. Like, it's not all crispy. You know how sometimes when you buy cinnamon rolls at the store, it's overly done, and that's why some people just like to buy the centers? You don't have to worry about that with this recipe. And again, there's plenty of icing for dunking. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Head over to my blog, iHeartRecipes.com, so you can print out this recipe as well as many of my others. And I will see you soon.